Well, kids, Uncle Ben's family has expanded once again with the addition of this lovely 1987 Ibanez RG550. Super cool. And I figure what better way to make this thing feel like a part of my flock than bust out a smoldering, sexy shred lick just for you guys. Check it out. What's up, kids? It's time for a new installment of Weekend Wankshop. Here's your good pal, Uncle Ben, also known as the Jesus of Ibanez. You know, kids, Uncle Ben's family grew a little bit this week with the addition of this 1987 Ibanez RG550, which I'm so stoked on. Thanks, Jeremy, for hooking me up with this guy. So cool. 1987 is the first year that Ibanez ever made the RG, so this is kind of a hallmark for me because this is where it all started. You know, this is a piece of Ibanez history. Really, really, really cool guitar. These old Ibanez RGs are totally the Lamborghini or the Ferrari of the guitar world. They are built for speed, and they're built to last, too. This thing's almost 30 years old, you know? Twice as old as me. Lots of shred dudes in the 80s popularized the Ibanez RG, guys like Paul Gilbert and many others. And so I figured what better way to welcome this guitar to my family than to give it a really hot, nasty lick to debut on Weekend Wankshop. This lick is in the key of D minor, the saddest of all keys, and features the 3-note per string D minor scale. The cool thing is too, since it's the 3-note per string pattern, you could easily apply it to any other 3-note per string scale pattern, you know, like a Phrygian mode or Mixolydian or whatever, and get new sounds out of it that way. Really usable lick. Before we dig into it, let's hear it again at stepdad speed. As always, you can find a full tab for this week's lick on my Instagram page, Ben Eller Guitars. Go on there, find the tab, learn how to play the lick, upload a video of you playing it along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. That way you can show the world that you're sick as shit. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the scale pattern that we're using here. That way you'll have an idea of sort of the path that your fingers are going to be ripping through on the board here. This is a D minor scale, which is the notes D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, appearing in several different octaves over the course of this scale. Now, the root note of the scale here is going to be on the 5th fret on the fifth fret on the A string. It's a D note right here. And again, this is 3 notes per string, so there's going to be, you guessed it, 3 notes on every string. It's going to go like this. We're going to play D, E, F on the A string. That's going to be frets 5, 7, 8. On the D string here, you also play 5, 7, 8, but it gives you the notes G, A, B flat. On the G string here, we're going to play 5, 7, and 9. That's C, D, E. Notice I like to use fingering-wise 1, 2, and 4 to achieve that stretch. It's easier to make these two guys stretch out a whole step than it is to make these guys stretch out a whole step. So that's why you see most everybody, you know, that really rips doing these scale patterns with 1, 2, and 4. So anyway, we got 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9. On the next string here, the B string, we're going to play 6, 8, 10. So that same kind of wide stretch right there. F, G, A. And then on the high E string, the exact same sort of wide stretch again. It gives us B flat, C, and D, 6, 8, 10. So once more, the whole pattern. 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9, 6, 8, 10, 6, 8, 10. This is a descending lick, so try practicing this backwards as well. 10, 8, 6, 10, 8, 6, 9, 7, 5, 8, 7, 5, 8, 7, 5. This lick is based on a sextuplet feel. Now what that means is that you're putting 6 notes into every beat. To understand a sextuplet, or a 16th note triplet, as it's sometimes called, it's important to understand what a triplet is, right? A triplet is where you're taking a beat and splitting it into 3 equal parts. And the best way to do that is just to say the word triplet over it. Triplet, triplet, triplet. Pretty easy to understand. Now a sextuplet is going to be putting 2 triplets in 1 beat, like this. Triplet, 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 triplet. So we're splitting that beat into 6 equal parts. So basically every one of these phrases is going to follow that rhythmic timing, and each one of these sort of chunks, if you want to look at it that way, is going to feature a dozen notes. Let's check out that pattern. So this is another one of those sort of pattern-based or formula-based licks that guys like Paul Gilbert and other shredded guys kind of live on. I love licks like this. I think they sound really neat. So if you understand sort of the pattern or the sequence that's going on here, you'll know exactly where to go if you know the scale pattern. And again, I'll be able to apply it to other 3-note per string scale patterns as well. Here's the deal. It's not all picked. It's going to incorporate a lot of legato. There's a lot of pull-offs and stuff in this lick. It's not all picked. You could pick it all if you wanted to be like, you know, super beast mode about it. I like the sound of picking and legato mixed in with each other. I think it's cool. Okay, check this out right here. What we're going to do is think about 2 strings, right? So initially we're starting off on the high E string and the B string, which again has these notes on it. 10, 8, and 6 on both strings, right? What we're going to do is to start off on the highest note of the high E string. What I'm going to do is to descend down that string. I'm going to pick the first 2 notes and then pull off to the third. So I'm playing 10, 8, pull off to 6. Need the picking frame so you can see the picking here. After that, what I'm going to do is to backtrack and play the 8 on the high E, pull off to 6. So far I've never actually picked the 6th fret note. It's always been a pull off to there. Next I'm going to play the 10th fret on the B string, go back to the high E number 6. So in other words, so far we have this. And then lastly, what I'm going to do here is to play 2 notes on the B string. I'm going to play fret 10 and fret 8. Notice those are both picked. And that's the entire sequence right there. Triplet, triplet, triplet. That idea is just going to continue through the rest of the scale pattern, like this. So next, think about just restarting that exact same sequence, that exact same concept, you know, of descend down a string, play, you know, go back a note, and then play the next note on the next string and stuff. Going to do all that same stuff, just moving through the next 2 strings in the scale pattern. So what I'm going to do for the next section here is to start off with the B string, fret number 10, again starting on the highest note. Pick the first 2 notes of it, 10, 8, pull off to 6, pick the 8 again, pull back off to 6. Next note on the next string, that's going to be fret 9 on our G. Go back to that 6 on the B string. Pick 2 notes on the next string. So I'm going to play 9 and 7 on the G. So that second fragment of this lick goes like this. Next, play that exact same sequence but starting off on the G string. So I'm going to play its highest note, the one below it, pull off, back a note, pull off. Next note on the D string here, which we're going to find right here on fret number 8. Back to the 5 on the G. Then I'm going to play 8 and 7 on the D. So that fragment was... And then start off that exact same scale pattern idea on the D string. So we're going to play its highest note. In other words, fret number 8 right here. Pick those first 2, pull off to the lowest one, go back, pull off. Next note on the next string, which is 8 on the A string here. Back to the 5 on the D. And then to wrap the lick up, all I did is play 8, 7, 5. That way I'm ending on that D on that root note. Especially if you're playing against like a D power chord or a D minor of any kind. This would be a great lick because it's starting off on D and it's ending on D. That way you're starting off on that root note and ending on the root note too. If you think about it too, you could use this lick against a couple of different chords that are in the key of D minor as well. Remember how I said it kind of targeted that D note? Well, yeah, that is the root note of a D minor chord, but it's also in some of the other chords in the key of D minor. Like a G minor chord, it's got a D in there as its 5th, so that would be a pretty smart move to target that note. You could even play it against the B flat major chord. That's got a D in there as its 3rd. So like if you were targeting that D note, starting there and ending there, that would sound great against any of those chords. It sound good over D minor, it sound good over G minor, it sound good on B flat major. It's really cool. And a word about the picking for this lick too, because if you want to get it up to just like ramming speed, you got to put a little thought into the picking here. Here's the way that I do it. There's probably a lot of different ways you could pick a lick like this, but myself, for every one of these 12-note sequences, here's the way I'm doing it. I pick the first 2 notes with a downstroke and an upstroke, so down, up, and then I've got a pull off, right? Well, what I do next is the next pick note is going to be a downstroke, And again, there's a pull-off that follows that. That kind of gives my pick time to get to the B string. So far we got down, up, down. The B string I'm going to play here with a downstroke. High E string with an up. That one I'm kind of staying outside of the strings. Again, a lot of guitar players really dig the outside picking approach rather than inside, which would be like up to down, you know? I've always found that a little bit trickier, although I'm getting better at it thanks to Cracking the Code, the ultimate alternate picking videos. Watch that stuff, kids. It's the best in the world. So anyway, I've got down, up, down, down, up, and then the last two notes of the sequence are going to be down, up. So once more, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So once more at kind of a moderate tempo here, I'm going to point out where the phrases kind of start and end and show you once more how the lick sounds. So starting on the high E string, starting on the B, starting G, starting D, wrapping it up and getting paid. So there you go, kids, another sick new lick to get you some chicks. Try that out on your favorite speed demon acts. Be sure to put up a video of you shredding it on the Instagram. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and please subscribe to the channel, and be sure to drop me an email to ask about setting up some one-on-one guitar lessons with old Uncle Ben here, where we can talk about scales and modes, keys, all that stuff that you need help with. I'd be very happy to help you out and get that stuff down pat. So drop me an email, benellerguitars@gmail.com is where you can find me. Thanks again so much for watching. I'll see you cats next week. Take it easy.